Good morning everyone, welcome to Our Small Footprint. My name is Nyssa. If you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. It is Tuesday morning and I am getting ready to do what I need to do before I leave for our monthly grocery shop. So one of the things I tend to do is come out and make sure the garden gets a good water and then hope that someone will water it for me again on Thursday. And then Saturday we try and water every second day, and it probably needs a bit more at the moment in this heat, but water-wise, that's what we can spare. So once we get the irrigation going, it'll be easier to control that. But for the moment, we're still just hand watering, which is time-consuming and not the greatest in the ratio of water that the plants are getting. But we are managing. So we've got some things doing really well and some things just not doing so great, which is, pretty normal in a garden. And I'm still having a whole lot of issues with tomatoes in the beds and the curling and things like that, and so I'm not sure what the cause is, whether it was to do with the bushfires and the smoke, whether it's to do with the mushroom compost that I bought in bulk. Pardon? If it's white, it's not a butterfly, it's a cabbage moth. Well, they're not, because they lay caterpillars and the caterpillars eat everything. Apollo is out here helping me today. So we are watering everything. Yes, some things are doing well, some things aren't. I don't know what the issue with all the massive amount of curling is, whether it is something to do with the mushroom compost we bought, which is really unfortunate because we paid a lot of money for that, or what, I don't know. But we have had some issues and hopefully they will correct themselves next year when we top up the beds again and this mushroom compost has sat for a while. We're also hitting the real hot parts of dry heat days, and so there's some things that really haven't done well. I pulled the cabbages that were being eaten because it just wasn't worth having them there, but the beetroot aren't doing real great around them either. There's still enough that we're pulling some leaves off for eating, but they're not bulbing up very well, so I'm pretty much going to clear that bed and replant it. I pulled all the radishes out. With the last video, Apollo and I were pulling all the radishes out, and then I'm going to pull the beans and the cucumbers probably too, because the heat has really started to get to them and they're not doing much of anything. So I'm going to replant that bed. The zucchini haven't been producing very well either this year. I'm not sure why. Again, it could be something to do with the soil. I don't know. So what I think is that once I come back, what I need to start doing is starting up some more seedlings. So we'll start another batch of beetroot and we'll start another batch of zucchini and things like that we have long enough time to do a second run of. I also was going to do a couple of the super sauce tomatoes that a viewer sent me the seeds for, to put in some spots where I'm going to pull the tomatoes that are currently there because they're just not doing anything. I've planted the paste tomatoes again this year, and every year I sit there and go, should I plant paste tomatoes? Because every year I have the same problem with the blossom end rot. Doesn't seem to matter what I do. Blossom end rot is caused by a lack of calcium, but it's not a lack of calcium in the soil because I use rock minerals with calcium in the soil. I've also used some Epsom salts, which is some magnesium, which is supposed to help with the uptake of calcium. But what actually causes the blossom end rot is inconsistent watering that stops the plant from being able to carry that calcium to the fruit, which is very much what we have. Now, I don't tend to find that my round tomatoes suffer from blossom end rot much, but the paste tomatoes, the elongated ones, always have an issue. So I planted 2 beds of them and I shouldn't have. I should have just stuck with round tomatoes, because I'll turn around and show you. So there's heaps of fruit, but there is so many that are like this. So I've been pulling them off as I see them so that the plant isn't wasting its energy on them. But some of these have like full trellises of blossom end rot. So like that whole trellis is useless that whole truss is useless, and it's happened a lot. And so I find too that if something looks red far in advance to something else, is because it's got a blossom end rot, because they tend to ripen up quicker than the standard ones. So we are getting some nice looking ones. There are some that have no end rot and are a decent size. I picked a couple yesterday actually, and there are some trusses of fruit that look okay. I don't know, there's one there that's got it, but the other ones look okay so far. So I'll just keep going and we'll just see how it goes. But yeah, they're a little out of control and they're very curly on the top, and they're just, yeah, the paste tomatoes aren't doing very well either. So we will just see what we get. I need to tie this one up. But yeah, the peppers in these beds are doing well though, compared to the other beds. So I don't know. We will see. But these are actually doing quite nicely. There's actually, look, there's paprikas on this one, which is really nice to see. So these peppers are doing okay. We still are getting some fruit fall, but we're also getting some fruit growth as well. So we shall see. But the cherry tomatoes, which are in the beds over this way, and we need, this shade cloth has fallen down, need to re-tie it up. There's a couple, this one on the end isn't doing real great, but it is a variety I haven't grown before either, so I'm not sure. That one was, I want to say, it was either Barry's Crazy Cherry or Brad's Atomic Grape. There's one of, I only have one plant of each of those and then one on each end, and the label, I think this one's Brad, so that one must be Barry's Crazy Cherry. But the cherry tomatoes are doing well. We actually are picking some of the sun golds already, and they're very tasty. And there's a little bit of curling at the tips, but mostly they look pretty healthy. All the basil's doing well. And then a couple of the beefsteaks look really good. Like these ones look really nice. The flowers look really nice. The leaves look really nice. These ones are solar. These two are solar. And then we've got some that are a little bit more stunted. These were Lucid and then Black Beauty, I think, with that dark purpling on the fruit. And they look okay, but, you know, peppers are doing okay here. We've got that Delicata is doing okay in the corner there as well. So there's and the silver beet has got a little bit of sunburn, but other than that is doing well in here. The ground cherry is doing okay. So these beds definitely look a little bit better than the other ones. And again, these cherry tomatoes all look really nice and healthy. Though some are quite short, and I haven't topped them, so I'm not sure why that is. Unless they were accidentally topped, I don't know. But everything else is looking good. And then we got, again, some beefsteaks that look good. The Kellogg's that are there. But there was one in the middle here that just died off. And another Delicata that's doing okay. So, I don't know. There's a lot of empty space in the bed still, which is driving me nuts. But until we get the irrigation working, it's not worth direct seeding. So I have to start seeds, and I just haven't had time. All the buckets are doing well. We've got little watermelons all over the place on these. And the vines are cascading out nicely. I have to remember to pull them in so that they don't get stood on, but the plants are doing all right, and the pumpkins are doing all right as well. There's some that are already yellowing there, and there's some nice big green one there as well. And some of the flowers and stuff are doing okay, some not so great. It's all just a little bit hit and miss. I planted out some comfrey in various different spots. The lettuces have all bolted, which is fine. We'll give them to the animals. But these two Brandywine tomatoes are doing really well. So I'm excited to see if we get some decent fruit off them, because the other ones, strawberries still haven't done anything. There's no strawberries. I've planted some comfrey in here, though it wasn't real happy. It's only just been watered and it's a little bit flat, but hopefully it perks up. Apollo was a little bit aggressive with the watering. So hopefully that they perk up though. But that's the strawberry beds. There's no strawberries, which is why I put a bit of comfrey in there, just as something in there for the moment. The IBCs are doing well. This is all our silver beet and stuff. I really need to make some frittatas or something and harvest a whole bunch of this. And I pulled the other cabbages and stuff out of here. I've got some horseradish in here now. I've got a tomato in there to test this as an IBC, and I've put a roselle in the back. There's some ground cherries and some comfrey, and I'll put a few other bits and pieces in there as well. The zucchinis, as I said, they're still growing well, but we're not getting much in the way of fruit. We're getting a a lack of pollination, and the stuff that is pollinated just isn't growing very well. It needs a really good prune and a tie-up. I'm not going to do it today because my arms will kill me for the day and I'm leaving at lunchtime. So when I come back I will, and Apollo's going to water it for me again. But we're just not getting very good, fruit at all. Poor pollination and just not much fruit at all. So that's why I think I might start another batch of them and we'll see how we go. I don't know. As I said, the cucumbers, and we pulled all the radishes out, but the beans are struggling as well. It's just too hot, I think. And the beans that we're pulling off them aren't very tasty. They're quite chewy and not very moist and just not very pleasant. So, and the cucumbers are really starting to struggle. So we will see. There's a cucumber there that needs picking. But yeah, they're really starting to struggle. So I'm going to leave them for this week and plan for next week to start doing all the new reseeding. So again, we took all the cabbages out of here. The beetroot are struggling a bit though. So I'm going to leave them, as said, until next week, and then I'll reassess the bed. And then we come to our sad tomatoes. So there's some here that look okay, except that they don't appear to be producing fruit. The flowers just seem to be dying rather than fruiting. We're just not getting much in the way of fruit at all. A little bit, but even the stuff that we do get is not very big, and these are both supposed to be beefsteak tomatoes. So there's a couple here that look promising. This plant here looks completely like it's gone. So as I said, I was going to start some super sauce tomatoes because some of these tomatoes just need to be cut out already. The peppers are growing really well, but they've got the curling and lots of fruit fall. So again, I don't know. We're just gonna keep going and learning and use this as a learning tool. Again, the tomatoes, there is some tomatoes in here. There is some flowers. We are getting some that are ripening up, but they're small. They're tasty though. And some of them that are just not doing much of anything at all. And the peppers, again, it's varied. They're all pretty curly. This one's significantly curly compared to some of the others. And don't know, we will see how it all progresses. I did plan out, I had some seedlings and stuff in the inside still that really badly needed to go out, and I wanted to do that before I left so that no one had to worry about them while I was gone. I have 3 elderberry cuttings that needed to be potted up, and I didn't really have any pots to use, so I put them in here, and I'm just going to water them here, which Apollo missed. So I'm going to water these, and then I can dig them out and put them in something else later if I need, but at least they're in here in the ground getting some nutrients and things like that. So the other thing I planted out was some more of the herbs and stuff, some comfrey in here with all this Apollo, and some more bergamot in the middle. I haven't been able to cultivate any bergamot. All of it has died, so we will see if these ones manage. Apollo's going to mulch this for me while I'm gone when he waters. A bit more, again, he's been a bit aggressive with the watering. Some comfrey, mint, sage, and then some horseradish, as well as some more comfrey and bits and pieces just put in here. A couple of the roselles. They get really, really big, so it's hard to plant them. But on this side here, and yes, there's still soil bags everywhere. At least if they're on this side, I don't need to walk on this side because that's the pig pens there, so I can always walk on the other side only. And we'll see if they take off or not. Again, there's the bergamot died off in this. I got an old man salt bush that I put in there. We'll see if that manages to survive. They only just got put in there and watered, so they're all looking a little sad. Hopefully they'll perk up. And my chamomile has been flowering. I should be picking these flowers and drying them as they come up, but I haven't had a chance to. And hopefully I get a lot more out of all those there as well. So that's about it in the garden. Not a huge amount to show. It's all just plodding. At this time of year, it's really hot. Things can go fast, but they can also just stagnate because it's hot. And we're still just figuring it all out. I want to figure out succession planning and things like that. I want to figure out when the best time is to start more cabbages that we use for winter. We never got the potatoes planted, which is really sad. I also had black beans and stuff that I really wanted to plant, and it still hasn't happened. It got too hot, and then the bushfires and everything else, it's all gone a little... But we got a lot done this year compared to last year, and that I have to be satisfied with that. There's more to do, but everything has done 100 times better than last year, and that was the main goal, was to make sure that we got something out of this. And we've had plenty of greens, plenty of silver beet. I've had plenty of basil so far. I've got a whole bunch of spinach here, so when I come back I'm going to cut all that basil down and pick a whole lot of spinach and make some pesto, which will be really nice to have pesto from our own garden. Hopefully we get a good flush of cherry tomatoes out of those cherry tomatoes that are all looking good, and maybe some beefsteak tomatoes as well. But I'm not holding out hope on getting enough for any sort of preserving or anything. But that's... realistically, that's not what I was aiming for anyway. The garden was about fresh eating. I can buy cheap boxes of tomatoes to can. They're nowhere near as nice to eat, but that's why we have these to eat. And then if I have excess of these, I can can them as well. So the idea is that this is supposed to be fresh eating. Fresh greens, fresh tomatoes, fresh zucchini, all that sort of thing, for eating during the year while it's growing, and then figuring out what we can grow during winter as well, so that we use these beds appropriately, whether for cover crops or for winter crops, and figuring it out, just getting it working. Getting these beds in this year was the big challenge, and we got there. We did that, and I'm happy with that. There is still a few spots I'd like a few more beds. There's definitely room to put them, and I would like to figure out planning a little bit better with the whole tomatoes and the trellises and what goes in front of them and things like that. It's all still a work in progress. Hopefully each year it will improve, and I have to remind myself that because you only have like a span of each year to work on it, then sometimes it is multiple years before you really master something, because you can only try it once in that each year sort of thing. So back to my old adage, I suppose, the progress not perfection. We've definitely made massive amounts of progress, and that is exciting. I definitely want a lot more progress as we go. I really would like to grow some raspberries and some blueberries and things like that, some berries, but we have to have the space set up to do that, and that's going to mean more soil, and I would hesitate to buy the mushroom compost that I bought again, because it doesn't seem to have done what we needed it to do. So we'll have to assess that again next year. But anyway, quick garden tour for Tuesday morning. Now I'm going to go and pack my bags and everything to get ready to go for the shopping, and then I'll see what I can manage to pull together while I'm gone to share as well. Thanks for joining me again, guys, and I will see you next time.